the non-voting items are the game plan for the engine room and the discussion of the Trans-Terra partnership. Is that right?
Yeah.
I was thinking we might vote on the Trans-Terra thing if we had time, but it's not a priority. We can leave it to the junta. And everyone, we're live now, by the way.
Okay. So in this period, while we're waiting to achieve quorum, we're going to talk about non-voting items. So I guess the General Assembly has been convened, but it's not in a voting status yet. So the first of the non-voting items that we were going to talk about was game plan for the engine room, which I think Christian could speak to because he sent around a message about this.
Right, so this is one of the major sort of points of differentiation that we put out there about why ImportantCool is going to be different, along with the Artifacts Cave, which is full provision of all primary source material created by journalists. Now, the Artifacts Cave, we sort of have a lot of ad hoc solutions to that, which are working pretty well. However, we haven't really got anywhere in the engine room. We need to get patrons involved in stories and have the sense that they're participating, that they can pitch ideas to journalists, and that they can get to vote at least on something. So Austin, I think it was Austin's original concept for this was that we would have sort of massive subscribers who would be able to put forward different ideas, and then with their own money they could vote on.
There's an important distinction is that the journalists put forward the ideas and the
This is a big
patrons vote on those ideas. And if patrons want to suggest an idea, they can approach a journalist with it. This has been something that's been up for discussion a lot, whether people things which can be voted up or down. But you know, as one of the people who wants to be a journalist, I don't want a story foisted on me at all. The whole point of this is to give journalists maximum freedom, you know, and the readers have influence to support that, but you know, not control it. So I mean, support selectively. I mean, the language here is tricky, but you understand the distinction I'm making. That there's still the associate body, which is separate from the patron body. They put forward stories and projects that they want to do, and the patrons decide if they want to fund those. And if they want to suggest a story, the best way for them to do it is to, you know, let the journalist know. And if the journalist's getting a lot of interest on a particular topic from his or her readers, then they would be stupid not to propose that if they know there's going to be support for it. I think that's kind of enough. And I'm worried about, you know, you create the expectation that the patron's going to have control of the story, and then they might not like the final product, or might disagree with the journalist's take on it, and it's kind of like, you know, write your own blog.
Right, and that's totally been the consensus so far. It was my mistake to phrase it in that way. Like, we've discussed this a lot, sort of tricky issue about whether patrons would put forward their own ideas, but the core concept would be that journalists put forward their ideas to patrons, they would then get to vote. And also we've talked about expanding this to like a general sort of oversight of what we do with their money. So patrons are making donations and then we're spending it on things, and we've never really teased out exactly when we're going to go to patrons sort of for their approval on how we're going to spend that cash, partly because we don't have that many patrons at the moment. But I suppose to at least have a forum for it, while it's small and easy to manage, would be the logical first step, right?
So, and is the new website forum that could, I mean, is that the intention of the forum on the new website? To that's what I understood anyway.
Yeah, that space was just taken down.
And Adriana are trying to join and can't, and it's telling them that it's full.
Sorry, say that again.
Lewis said that to me. Adriana said she's about to join, but
okay. That's a message from Lewis.
Right.
Well, we might have to be really rude and ask one of the Padawans to leave. That's basically where we're at.
Okay, no problem.
This is huge. This is a massive, another glitch, as if things went clunky enough. And that, I hate to send people away who are interested, but it might be the solution.
Get Lewis to try some. Does anyone have ideas
I'll read it.
for the solution before kicking someone off?
No.
The only suggestion I have is that Carl, you could, or whoever is happy to drop out, could could view and obviously just watch the stream of it through YouTube.
Yeah, we've got this channel here. This link, I'll put the link in the chat so people can copy it. If you can watch there and make comments via Facebook to
I suggest whoever try to add themselves again and see what happens.
Wait a while though, so the people who are already legal members and who we need to get into quorum can come in, and we might have to find a new solution. Google Hangouts, you have failed.
We know your list.
All right, good luck.
We're purging someone.
Oh goodness, and off they go.
Lock it up.
Oh no.
We've gained a space. Tell them now. Tell Lewis and Adriana they have to join because we kicked someone out for them.
It's so terrible.
Sacrifices.
I feel like a bit traumatized with it. Only 10 people can participate with video, so this is what's happening.
Do something special for Carl.
Well, yeah.
Come up with minutes.
Yeah, well, everyone's going to get hooked up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Right now.
No. Ben, are you there? Are you hearing this, or have you?
Yeah. Sometimes you all are cutting out a bit, but I mean I can hear you well.
Before that, but if I go back to sleep, I won't.
Okay.
Oh, Lewis.
Lewis.
Hey, Lewis.
Yo, everyone. Hey.
Hi,
Hey,
Lewis. So that's
Like your video.
2,
Unless
3,
you have a
4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Our
9, 10.
Potential and current cool editor has. Are you in Paris, Lewis?
Yeah, I am in Paris, man.
Of course he is. It's the cool editor, man. Come on.
Yeah. Yacht communist.
That's actually the requirement for being the cool editor is to physically be in Paris. That's
Yeah, actually.
So we've got.
Can we revise one more time?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 3 of you in keto. Yeah, we've got 11.
Good.
Okay. All right. So let's go to the top. While we've got everyone. Welcome to our first General Assembly of this calendar year, and the fourth since the founding of ImportantCool. Our agenda. First we'll do voting, then on the new members, then form the executive committee, vote in the executive committee officers, then we'll do a financial report and annual activity report.
John's calling me.
John's trying to get it. That's Stefan, I think.
Yeah. We've got 1, 2, 3,
Okay.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 accounts. He should be able to join in without us even having to ditch anybody.
So I'm just going to plow on. In terms of voting in Joe McIver, the protocol is he has to be nominated by an associate, and then there's a vote, and then as long as it's a majority, I apologise, I've forgotten what the rules are.
The procedures are we'll read the resolution, and as long as we achieve majority of the quorum, then he's voted in. He has already handed in his papers a long time ago. What happened was I was, sort of amateurly advised to take his papers that were a driver's license from Australia, and then when I did turn in his papers and eventually got a response, they said no, he needs a passport and he needs a new vote to go with the passport documentation submission. So he's being voted in as a formality now, as he already is a contributing
member. He's an active member.
Okay.
He's a member
So
who's
is that your resolution, Alia, that the resolution is to vote in Joe McIver as an associate?
yeah.
I just add a quick clarification. Of course, the normal procedure is now, it's probably worth going over, that we have the Padawan period during which, there's just an informal association with the group and hopefully people sort of, take an interest and get involved. And then at the end of that, we would have an email vote. But Joe, because of Joe's special circumstances, he published material on the launch of the site, and has done so since, and done everything else right, and already filed his papers before this was the case. We thought we'd bring it to the General Assembly and just sort it out rather than start him on a new trial period. Right? That's the reason we're voting on it today, rather than via email.
My explanation on the draft agenda was very coherent, way more coherent than the one I did. Please refer to that for more detailed explanations.
Okay. So we'll take that resolution's been put up, and all those in favour say aye. Aye. Anyone want to oppose? Anyone want to oppose the resolution? Okay, so that's carried. So that's Joe's voted in. Congratulations to Joe.
Congratulations, Joe McIver.
Congrats, Joe.
We have one up, by the way, guys.
Oh, yay.
Maybe it's Carl who dropped out earlier. If it is Carl, and John Domain has joined the call. Sweet, we've got quorum +1. This is great. Oh, we've lost him again. Stefan, yeah.
Okay, next item is to form the executive committee, and so we've had a number of nominations for the committee, which, first of all, and just stop me, Alia, if there's any procedural thing that I need to know. I'll just run through all the nominations first. So, nomination for copy editor, John McCabe; important editor, Christian Tim; cool editor, Lewis Sanders; head of web development, Karen Kalper; head of archiving, Cassie Findlay; head of outreach coordination, John Pinheiro; head of fundraising, Alia Alwi; and head of concept and strategy development, Austin McKell. Are there any other nominations that are latecomers or that people want to table now for any of those roles? Nope.
And we've got Adriana has come online. Hello, Adriana.
Oh, yay, Adriana.
Hello, Adriana.
Hello. Hey.
Hello. So if let's vote on each of those one by one. So for the position of copy editor, the nomination is John McCabe. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone wish to oppose the nomination? No.
John said the call is full.
Okay. You might have to go.
Well, well, we should really get access though. Ben, I'm sorry. Do you mind if we boot you? Because we're sorry to. Obviously, we want you to participate, but Google's just giving us a bottleneck.
No, that's cool. You said it's live streaming, so I can follow there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Look, I've just put it again in the chat. That's the YouTube link. It's live at.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's fine. I'll follow there.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Big soon, I hope.
Okay. I'm just going to keep going because I know from experience people can drop out for technical reasons, and I don't want to lose our quorum. So the nomination for important editor is Christian Tim. All those in favour of that nomination say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? No. Okay, that's good. So Christian has been elected to the position of important editor. Congratulations.
Great.
Yeah.
Cassie, can I make a suggestion? A procedural, like maybe go through all of them at once, and we can just do a group I for all of them, because people dropping out could actually be really fuck this up, couldn't it? So
yeah, okay. I'm happy. Does anyone object to a group nomination. I can read through the names again, but I think we probably all got them. Does anyone object if I do a group?
I think for the sake of formality, you should probably read out exactly the names and exactly the positions, since we've elected 2 of the people you read out before, and then we can vote for that as a joint list.
I'll read out.
There are no other nominations.
There are no challenging nominations to the ones that are on the list. It's just one.
All right, I'll read out the remaining names and positions, and then we'll vote on those. So the remaining ones are, for Cool Editor, the nomination is Lewis Sanders. For Head of Web Development, Karen Cowper. For Head of Archiving, Kathy Findlay. For Head of Outreach Coordination, John Pinheiro. For Head of Fundraising, Alia Alwi. For Head of Concept and Strategy Development, Austin McKell. All those in favour, say aye.
Aye.
Nominations. Anyone opposed? Great. All voted in.
But everyone should really go back and read my campaigning thing that I read, because otherwise you won't understand the directions that I'm going to be taking us in. And
okay. So moving on to the annual financial report. So Patrick, who's the treasurer at present, has deputised me to report on our financials on his behalf, and I will do that. I've sent round something just with the basic info, and I'm sorry I haven't got like a proper written report yet. It's very bad of me, but Patrick only asked me this like 2 days ago. So the bottom line is that we currently have $387 in our Australian bank account. This is all in Australian dollars. We have around $350 in the PayPal account, although for some reason I couldn't get into it today, so we may have had some amazing donation or contribution that I've missed, but last check, $350. In terms of our money outstanding, so reimbursements that are unpaid, $575, and things that we have reimbursed, we've spent $612. In summary, the income for the period since we were formed essentially as a formal entity has been $1,349.97, and we've spent $1,187. So you know, we're spending money as we make it, which is right and proper. That there ends the financial report. So I'll write something up that's a bit more like, you know, actually shows what we spent money on and so on. I mean, it's primarily been expenses around the web hosting, around tools for the website, and accountancy and legal costs. So we haven't really been, you know, throwing ourselves parties and buying beer, sadly. But no doubt that will come.
Okay. I want to announce real quick that the Australian bank has not yet been merged with the Ecuadorian legal entity. So Cassie, as the outgoing secretary and probably incoming treasurer, we will be working together to like sort of come up with whatever legal record, probably, and also Chris probably need your help too, with whatever legal form this needs to take, so that we can merge the Australian bank with the Ecuadorian entity, which like they still don't know each other. Like, legally, whatever that means, you know what I mean.
For people who might not be clear, well, there's follow-up paperwork to do with the Ecuadorian end. The Australian end seems to be pretty much sorted. To me, is that right, Cassie, or am I misunderstanding that?
Yeah, we're all set.
Merge is really correct. We don't want to be.
Okay,
we're not going to merge the two entities.
I don't want to be unclear.
The relationship now is that there is ImportantCool, which is an association founded under Ecuadorian law, and it is the sole shareholder in an Australian Ltd.
Proprietary private company. So we're just a private company.
Take donations from English language countries in Australia, and we are going to, you know, this is all something we're going to have to formalize in Ecuador in some way, which we're investigating at the moment, and will be one of the follow-up discussions from this meeting.
Yeah, we have documented at this end that as the company director here, I can't just make decisions all by myself about winding up the company or spending its money or doing anything like that. It goes to the Ecuadorian entity and its own rules for making those decisions as the shareholder. So it's pretty solid from this end. It's probably more your end that needs to do that.
I'm just sure that we'll have to formally notarize it more in some complicated way.
There's some complicated way here.
Because there's very legitimate concerns in Ecuador about local NGOs acting as agents for foreign companies or powers.
And money laundering issues. So
So this is something we'll have to make an effort to be above board on, and we should minute that. That we need to follow up post haste. What else is on the agenda?
So that's financial report. Does anyone have any questions before we move on about the finances or the financial report? And bearing in mind that the detailed breakdown will be coming, but are you happy to accept the very basic information that I've provided?
And look, at the expenses, there's an expenses spreadsheet in Google Documents, which has got all this, and I'm not sure if everyone's got access to it, but a number of associates have access to that detailed account, and we'll make sure that that's fully available as part of the report or whatever. These expenses have all been documented in detail, so there's no problem.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Annual activities report. This is for Alia to read out.
I've got a short report here. It's the highlights of activities in ImportantCool are the declaration of its founding in June 2014 and its constitutive act, the online launch of IC in mid-August 2014. The number of associates has risen to 19, and we have made a collective decision to impose a probationary period before members are admitted to be a Padawan with a minimum of 3 months, and that may be expanded at the discretion of already existing members. Since the launch of the organization in mid-August 2014, we have published dozens of stories, grown in number to about double, and flourished in the direction of establishing a noticeable presence in the English-speaking media. That's all.
Yes. Hooray.
Woo! Okay, great.
Thank you. Any questions about that report? Okay, moving on. Thank you. The next item is election for officers of the board. The officers and the nominees are the Office of President, Ali Alwi, Vice President, Lewis Sanders, Treasurer, Cassie Findlay, and Secretary, Christian Tim. Are there any other nominations for any of those roles coming through? Anyone? Nope. Okay, so does anyone want to speak to their nomination or speak against any of the nominations?
Or forever.
You should have read the blurbs that got sent round.
Everything is written. I think we can just vote.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you're happy with that, yeah, yeah, exactly. Everyone put up, the reasons why they thought they should do the role in the nominations. So, having just gone through those, Alia for President, Lewis for Vice President, Cassie, me for Treasurer, and Christian for Secretary. Can we take a group vote on those, and all in favour?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? So I'll declare all of those offices filled by the sole nominee. So congratulations to everyone on that.
Congrats.
Alrighty.
And for the outgoing treasurer, yay. We'll see some
yes,
more
and
articles from you soon.
Thank you, Patrick Gailey, for services rendered. Item 7, amend articles that need some disambiguation. I love that we're using disambiguation in our meeting today. It's an excellent word. Christian hopefully has all the articles recorded.
Sorry.
Yes.
I think we Christian, go ahead.
I completely missed that. I'm sorry. What happened? Disambiguation of articles?
Anyone?
I was meant to be all over this, was I? I haven't followed up on these, on which articles are meant to be disambiguated.
Okay. So does that mean that we need to hold this over till our next general meeting, or because I don't know anything about it?
Board meeting or something. Sorry, Christian. I took a quick read through the statutes, but it was too difficult at the first read to like determine which ones. So I think we'll have to postpone it.
I guess
Is this something that can be deferred to the executive committee?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of them.
Yeah, I mean, I made it.
Tactical or semantical or something, right, Christian?
It was all stuff that I noted while I was doing the translations, like months and months ago. And obviously, it just hasn't had any practical ramifications on running the group. So I can't remember. Like, I guess when you're looking at getting these prepared for the Ecuadorian bureaucracy and their approval through the Secretary of Communications, then that came up, but I don't remember exactly what it was all about in the first place, to be honest. So sorry about that.
So maybe we should just note that that's going to be deferred over to the executive committee to have a look at what articles have problems, and if they make recommendations to actually write replacement ones and then put them up to the General Assembly at a later date.
I mean, we need to work on we need to translate all of these resolutions and everything that's being passed here anyway. So if something comes up out of that, then we can act on it then.
Groovy.
I think we are voting. Sorry, I just want to clarify real quick for the Padawans that are probably watching and whoever else, as well as internally, that I think that we are voting in the resolution that we already voted on, that the junta will be able to amend articles from the statutes.
Okay, so
I'm assuming everyone read the final draft that is being voted on, which is Resolution Draft 2 on the thread, and it's accessible by all associates.
Yeah, our YouTube stream is down. Johnny's pointing out in the comments. So just as a side note, apparently the YouTube stream is not working. I imagine that the whole thing will still be available afterwards.
Maybe it's just
if someone does someone want to start doing a screen record or something? Does someone have the capacity to do a quick screen and audio record just in case there is a problem? Because we want to have it all.
This is also our legal recording, so we need to.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that, actually.
Me neither.
I don't either.
I'll do it. I'm hosting that. It's.
I can maybe help with this. I've just checked it, and it seems like it's live. I think perhaps it's just Ben who's having a problem.
Yeah, exactly. It's live when I check it from here.
Yeah, we've got one viewer again. For a while we had 2, then we had 0, and now we've got 1 again. So maybe it dropped out and it's back.
Yeah.
Well, that's good.
I think I've actually had similar problems before. Just as far as the recording goes, I think it should still keep recording, even if it drops out for individual viewers.
I imagine so. Google does suck up all the data.
Indeed. Yeah.
So the thing about allowing the junta to change. Hang on, sorry. Maybe Ali, could you just paraphrase what the resolution is, the one that we're amending?
1 second. I'm just getting it open in front of me so I can do that. All right, so besides forming the executive committee, this resolution includes a few more articles that are relevant to sort of organizational stuff. So, for example, the sessions of the executive committee will be ordinary and extraordinary. The ordinary assembly will be held every month, and the extraordinary when necessary at the request of 3 or more of the members of the executive. Resolutions and decisions. First of all, this should have been request of 5 or more of the junta. Remember, Cassie, we've discussed this? I'm sorry, I overlooked in the last draft. I think we might have to vote on this again before the end of the GA, just to make sure that we're all on the same page. Oh, okay, so how about I read the whole resolution that we're about to vote on now? Is that okay with everyone?
Yes.
It's a bit painful, but
thank you.
I think it's worth our time. The General Assembly resolves to form a permanent committee named the Executive Committee, detailed as follows. The Executive Committee is composed of the following dignitaries: copy editor, importer editor, cool editor, head of web development, head of archiving, head of outreach coordination, head of fundraising, head of concept and strategy development. We've already voted on these positions. Second, next article. The sessions of the Executive Committee shall be ordinary and extraordinary. The ordinary assembly will be held every month, and the extraordinary when necessary, at the request of 5 or more of the members of. Sorry. It's going to be 3 or more because the junta has 5. 5 or more of the members of the Executive Committee. The next article. Resolutions and decisions of the Executive Committee shall be taken by majority vote, and the quorum is established with the attendance of half plus 1 of its members. The next article. The Executive Committee shall hold ordinary and extraordinary sessions jointly with the Board of Directors. Ordinary sessions shall be held every 1 month, or at the request of 5 members of the joint body, to be called the junta. That's it. And then the next clause is the joint body composed of the members of the Board of Directors and the Executive Committee. Their powers and attributions shall be the following. A, amend the Constitution and adopt the rules of procedure, what I've just mentioned. B, create new positions on the junta or separately from it and set the responsibilities and tasks. C, approve the admission and exclusion of new associates. D, approve the granting of awards and commendation for members who have distinguished themselves in the activities of the organization. E, approve delegations of members of the junta for financial expenditure up to $500 USD. For $100 US. The next clause is the deliberations of the junta composed of the members of the Board of Directors and the Executive Committee shall be noted by the Secretary in the minutes of the session. The minutes shall be signed by the President and the Secretary. The General Assembly shall be notified of the deliberations of the junta through an audio or video recording of the meeting through the official emailing list within 48 hours of the completion of the session. The General Assembly reserves the right to challenge any decisions produced by the junta through a minimum of 1 of the members of the General Assembly by registering an objection on the official communication channels of the Association within the period of 48 hours from the publication of the record of the junta's session. The members shall succeed to summon 1/3 of the members of the General Assembly in full enjoyment of their rights to challenge the decision of the junta within 7 days of the registered objection, or the matter will be dismissed. An associate may hold more than 1 position on the committee, but shall have no more than 1 vote. Committee or junta here, I should say. All agree, I guess, so far? Associates that hold an office on the Board of Directors may be elected for positions on the Committee of Executives, but shall have only 1 vote at all times. Both quorum and voting majorities shall be calculated based on the number of eligible associates, example, members of either or both of the Board and the Committee, rather than the number of positions. So the number of persons, not the number of positions, because the number of positions would then entail more than 1 vote for some persons, which has already been cancelled in a previous clause. Anyway, resolutions and decisions of the junta shall be taken by majority vote, and the quorum is established with the attendance of half plus 1 of its members. Second, next article. To be copy editor, the requirements are: be an associate of the organization, be up to date and aware of the world's best media practices and ethics relevant to the position, be proficient in journalistic prose style, be familiar with the ImportantCool style guide. The editor is responsible for copy editing text before publication, uploading the style guide of ImportantCool, and adhering to it. Next article. To be important editor, it is required: be an associate of the organization, be up to date and aware of the world's best media practices and ethics relevant to the position, have knowledge of world affairs and current events. The important editor is responsible for overseeing the important section, reaching consensus with the relevant journalist on editorial and stylistic decisions, assuring the text reaches copy editing and oversee the publication of text falling under the category important. Next article. To be cool editor, it is required. Be an associate of the organization, be up to date and aware of the world's best media practices and ethics relevant to the position, have knowledge of the world affairs and current events. The cool editor is responsible for overseeing the cool section, reaching consensus with the relevant journalists on editorial and stylistic decisions, ensuring the text reaches copy editing and oversee the publication of text falling under the category cool. To be head of web development, it is required. Be an associate of the organization, be up to date and aware of the world's best media practices and ethics relevant to the position, have proficient knowledge of web design. The head of web development is responsible for oversee the organization's website and its maintenance in accordance with the values and objectives of the organization, ensure working towards the fulfillment of the vision and of the organization in the field of web development and the continued functioning of its online presence. To be head of archiving, it is required. Be an associate of the organization and be up to date and aware of the world's best media practices and ethics relevant to the position. The head of archiving is responsible for the following: ensuring artifacts and other archives of ImportantCool are captured into the appropriate systems and monitored over time. Monitor associates' adherence to ImportantCool procedures with regard to the capture and management of artifacts and other archives. 3, contribute expert advice to systems and procedures development with regard to the management of artifacts and other archives. And to be head of outreach or coordination, it is required. To be an associate of the organization, be up to date and aware of the world's best media practices and ethics related to the position, have knowledge of the use of social media and communication systems and strategy. The head of outreach coordination is responsible for the following: maintain social media updated with organization activities, provide analytics of social media accounts, moderating the security of social media accounts, strategize the communications with potential patrons or fans, in liaison with head of fundraising, and developing relationships with aggregator platforms. To be head of fundraising, it is required. To be an association of the organization, be up to date and aware of the world's best media practices and ethics relevant to the position, have proficient knowledge of dealing with patrons and potential patrons in liaison with head of outreach coordination, have a strategy towards the end of fundraising for the organization. The head of fundraising is responsible for the following: design and execute strategy for creating revenue, communicate regularly with outreach coordination, and maintain a regular contact with patrons. To be head of concept development, it is required. To be an associate of the organization, be up to date and aware of the world's best media practice and ethics relevant to the position, be aware of and work towards the fulfillment of the vision of the organization of establishing a transparent media. The head of concept development is responsible for create and maintain strategy for long-term goals and objectives of the organization, advise the junta on issues relevant to the long-term vision and direction of the organization. Okay.
Can I get a... Sorry.
Is everyone still there?
Yes.
Hello, we didn't lose anyone. Quickly,
Still here. Still here.
We totally should have done that before we voted on the position. But anyway, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
You might want to do that formality again. I'm sorry, Cassie. I was hoping that we'd read the statutes.
Yeah.
At the top.
Well, does anyone want to change?
But I might have been in a hurry and I didn't leave a note for you.
Yeah. No. Yeah. But look, we need to vote on this, on all of this first. So, I guess there's opportunity for questions or comments on anything that has been read out.
Unless anyone wants it to be read real quick again.
Gained a viewer during that period, apparently, guys. We've gone from 1 viewer to 2.
That's really... Oh, wow. It's very
Although we already had 2 Padawans telling me they were viewing, so we may actually have more than that. YouTube's in a lag. But any questions?
So if there are no questions or requests to change any of those, can we do a vote on all of them as a job lot?
Yes.
Let's do that. I think so. So last chance, any concerns or issues? Questions for Alia? Okay.
This answers our primary discussion, which is yes, the junta will be able to amend statutes in our bylaws. They'll be able to amend articles.
But they'll have to notify the General Assembly, and the General Assembly will have...
Well, they'll notify them in post, according to this resolution. So this means that a General Assembly member, so which means that any associate in their association, is able to raise concern within 48 hours of the publication of this minute, which is when it starts going into effect 30 days.
It goes into effect up to 48 hours. Any one associate can object within that 48-hour period, and then they have a week to gather a third of associates to, what was it?
Yeah, gather 1/3 of the General Assembly to object to this, whatever the amendment or decision of the junta may be, which gives them 9 days in total.
But I think it's a sensible approach to saying, well, we can't go to the full vote every time we want to do some of these things, whether it's changing the articles or spending money, or there just has to be some checks and balances around the powers of the junta, and I think they're there. I think they're there.
I feel that 48 hours is a long enough time for one to acquaint themselves with the minutes. And be able to raise concern and
I mean, do you want to just make it be a bit safer on it and just make it 72 hours or is?
What do you think? I'm happy to do that. That's fine.
That doesn't bother me at all. Wait a second. Let's think about it.
Yeah.
This doesn't limit us on small spending issues, does it?
It's up to 500 USD. Is what we're allowing the junta to be able to have discretion on.
Because
what I considered is with decisions that need action, like either getting a real quick task force together, or spending something faster than 3 days' time. Yeah. Basically, if for example we decide to spend $200 and we delegate to Cassie to make the transfer from the bank account, we're going to have to wait 48 hours from the time that this session is published, which also has a 48-hour buffer time. So the secretary has 48 hours to publish the record of that junta meeting, which will give by turn 48 hours to the whole assembly to be able to review the record and then object. Which means 4 days between the decision being made and the money being spent. Being sent,
before the money even leaves our account, then it's got to arrive in wherever.
And also, if an associate raises an issue, then the money won't be spent for, now we're talking about a total of 11 days technically.
Well, I thought
it may be decided not to be spent altogether.
I thought the intention was that we were making the rule that if it was under $500, so the associates are all here agreeing that we give the role to the executive committee to approve that without coming back to the rest of the associates. Is that not right?
I'm sorry, I was not to follow the train of thought.
Under $500 General Assembly, not
It was kind of like...
Yeah, this is the plan, that if it's under up to $500, the junta can make the decision. However, any member of the General Assembly is able to object to the decision and say, no, hold on a sec, I don't think this is okay, and raise 1/3 of dissent, basically, inside the General Assembly, and halt the whole thing. But if a member does not object to any of the decisions, being it spending or not, then this decision goes into effect within 48 hours. So let's say the secretary immediately hits publish on the end of the session. It means there is exactly 48 hours between the end of that junta meeting and the end of the period allowed to any member of the General Assembly to object to any decision of the junta meeting. Does that make sense?
Crystal clear.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I tried to make it as simple as possible. It means basically...
What does everyone else think about this?
Yeah.
John has some pretty deep thoughts about it, Stefan.
Is that a snore?
Dialed with Stefan or something.
I can't see. Oh, Stefan, but it's muted.
Yeah, I see two Johns.
There's John McCabe. John
Stefan's fallen
McCabe is the internet presence of Stefan. Stefan Babor, who's got founding members, and then there's also you, Johnny. But I mean, who's unclear on the provision? Because we really need to try and nail it down.
Does it need another explanation by someone more coherent than me that understands it?
No, I think it's fine. Let's roll with it. If something dramatic happens, then we can fix it up next year.
And we can amend all this in between now and the next General Assembly by email votes anyhow.
By email vote, and the junta meeting is meeting within a month, which means that they can amend this too. You know, if everyone else is happy with that.
Okay. Okay. So let's take a vote on all of the resolution as of one job lot. All those in favour say aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, so that's passed. Thank you, Ali, for writing it all up and reading it all out too.
No worries. It's a pleasure.
Right. Okay. So, do we want to just make the amendment about amending the GA to be held every year, Article 9?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's to amend Article 9 of our Constitution or our.
Can you also read item 8 first, which also needs to be amended? It's another article that needs to be amended.
Oh, okay, sorry. Amend Article 3. So I would like to put a resolution that we amend Article 3. The statutes will hereby be listed at the following address. Isidro Sandoval, Lotte 29, Plaza. Okay, that's hiccuping now. That's hilarious. Plaza Pamba, Tumbaco. I probably mispronounced this horribly. Sorry, Quito, Ecuador.
No, it sounds great.
All those in favour? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Anyone opposed to the change of address, which is a very practical matter? I doubt. Okay, so that's passed. Excellent. So number 9, amend the General Assembly to be held every year so that our articles read, Article 9, Ordinary Assembly shall be held every 1 year. Does anyone want to speak to this, explain, or
We've had to do
complain?
this for months at the moment, and it's a huge pain in the ass.
It is a huge pain in the ass. I think it's a very sensible resolution.
So, does everyone want to change it to 1 year or not? I'm not sure. I'm
3 months.
I do.
Yeah, I think we could still do like improv meetings and get people together and whatnot, but to actually pull together a General Assembly, yeah, I think once a year.
Having people in all parts of the world makes the timing very, very difficult.
And achieving.
And everyone in the group is a very dynamic person.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth. So we've all we're able to communicate in a more piecemeal fashion, more efficiently, and more informally, more efficiently, and we don't need quite so much of these meetings, which tend to have consensus on almost all points.
All right, dozed off once, man. I'm over half asleep.
Wake up then! Wake up and smell the goddamn revolution!
You were snoring. It was funny.
I was sitting there like, man, I hope I wasn't snoring. You know?
I was trying to mute your microphone, but I couldn't. Now we're like a real parliament where people fall asleep, like.
That's pretty boring. I read like 3 pages worth of
Is that when someone fell asleep? Oh my god!
I thought it was
I would just make a note of
how hard it is for me not go out drinking on a Saturday. It's like, oh.
Of course.
Man.
Next time out here, you need to have some big fat beats playing behind the,
the resolution.
Yeah. We can remix it.
Someone please do that.
Move, bro.
I'll add on this motion. Stefan, we're making a motion to change the General Assemblies to annually rather than every...
I woke up for that, man. I heard that part.
It was relating to the fact that we achieved a lot of consensus in these informal discussions, and really we need to be spending more of our time discussing content and product and actual execution, and
we
less
spend a lot of effort
in the administrative
people in the most boring part of
which is the administrative part, which we're trying to minimize.
So that's why we're trying to delegate it to a few people who will sacrifice and be bored on everyone else's behalf.
Yeah.
All right.
Clara.
Okay.
AI on it before someone drops out.
So let's vote. All in favour of the amendment to hold the General Assemblies every 1 year, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? No opposition, so that's passed. Hooray. Very good. Woo. So those are all the, it seems like all the voting, unless you wanted to just confirm the Executive Committee members again, Alia, having read out all the position details and everything, but I mean, I think we're fine. Do we need to do that?
Make a motion to reaffirm everyone's support of the appointments listed earlier in light of the descriptions having been read.
Okay, so the motion is that this General Assembly reaffirms its support for the successful nominees in the positions of the Executive Committee as voted on earlier in the meeting. All those in favour? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, very good.
Awesome. Again, congratulations, everyone. How exciting.
Right. Is that the full voting? Is that
yes,
the list?
Yes, we're done with all the voting stuff. How amazing.
That must have been less than an hour.
It's just like, just an hour.
Yeah, we set a record.
What shit, people?
Whoa.
Shit.
So I guess, I've got about another 10 or 15 minutes before I have to split, but so I'm happy to talk about some of the other matters, the non-voting things, just for a little bit, but I don't, if people want to, shall I close the formal meeting now and some people can bugger off or go to bed?
Yeah, I think maybe we've got some non-voting items, but perhaps it's best we close the formal section of the assembly and people can hang around for casual chat beyond now as long as they feel like doing so. Because there's 1,000 little tangents people will want to follow up on this and other platforms.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll formally close the General Assembly at this time, which is at 4:14 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time in Australia.
Wow. Sunday, 12:15.
It's 1 o'clock.
It's 1 o'clock over here.
It's 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. What do you mean?
That's above and beyond. Yes, that's really good. Be up at that time.
Following on from the Secretary's statement, I'm about to hit the stop broadcast button unless anyone objects in 5, 4.
Thanks everyone for showing up for quorum. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, nerds.
So glad how this went.
I'm hitting stop broadcast, thanking each other afterwards.